and welcome back to A Better World. This is your host, Mitchell J. Rabin, and we're very glad you're joining us again today. Today we're going to have another very interesting show. We have with us today Suzanne Grenager, who is here from the Philadelphia area, and she's a life coach. She's actually been doing it for many, many years. She's going to speak to us about this very unique and rather innovative position and role in life. She's had a very varied background. She's been a teacher, a mentor, a writer, an educator. She's one of the first people certified in Kripalu Yoga. She's been around. She's done a lot of things. She's got a lot of experience under her belt. We're very glad to have her with us today, speaking about this life calling of hers that she has responded to really quite fabulously, and things are going very well in her life with this, and she's helping a tremendous number of people. So, Suzanne, I'm so glad you're here with us.
Thank you. It's nice to be here, Mitch.
Good.
I'm so pleased.
So glad.
Thanks.
So, what is this thing called life coach?
Well, you know, I want to share something. I want to give you something back that you gave to me. You send out these wonderful emails that some of us get. And sometime recently, you sent out one that had lots of wonderful quotations. And one of them touched my heart and made me go, aha, and I'll tell you why in a minute. And it answers your question. The quote says, "A friend is someone who knows the song in your heart and can sing it back to you when you have forgotten the words." Okay?
Yep.
So a life coach.
I remember it.
All right. And what happened in that moment when I read that was I thought, aha, that sounds like life coaching. And I wrote you back and I said that. And I said, you know, I would love to come and talk about that with you. And here I am.
Voila.
Yes. So life coaching, to be very concise and clear about it,
Yes.
is a brand new service, really. It's quite new, okay?
That's why I said innovative, because
Yes.
the phrase has not been around.
That's right.
The phenomenon's been around probably for millennia.
Absolutely.
But the name has not been.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But what the work does, and this is my take on life coaching.
Yes.
Different people have different ideas and would agree.
Sure.
But basically, it helps people to get crystal clear about who they are and what they love so that they can live their lives with power, with authenticity, with joy, and with love. Because that's who we are. And if we can uncover that core self and begin to live from that place, to me, that's great coaching, to help people get themselves to see their greatness and really be willing to help them move to express that in the world. Not what they could do, not merely what they maybe should do, which they have made up according to their conditioned beliefs, but what they would really in their heart of hearts love to do. And so that's what a life coach does, helps them remember that song and reflects it back to them. So it's
beautiful.
It's beautiful work.
Beautiful.
I have found my calling. You said it,
Wow.
honey.
Yeah, right.
And
right,
when you said I've been doing it for years, I want to be really clear. Because it's a new field, I'm actually a relatively experienced coach with maybe 2.5 going on 3 years under my belt, calling it a coach. But the point is that most people who become coaches are naturally the kind of people who see the light in others and have the capacity to hold that big mirror and draw it out. And that's what I've been doing since my friend Lucy Solomon Marr died here in Sloan Kettering Cancer Center when we were both in our very early 30s, and I chose to sit there. And it was a wake-up call. It's like, excuse me, there's some information here that I'm not in touch with about why we're here. I'd been living out there. I'd been a columnist for the Philadelphia Inquirer and quite successful, but no inner life, no sense of that interior self, because I didn't have any models for that, right? You with me?
Oh, sure.
You know, the distant emotional family and so on, well-intentioned, but not necessarily clear.
High mental function.
Yeah, and
low
not a lot of emotional, right.
Deficit
capacity,
disorder.
Right.
Emotional deficit disorder.
Oh, that's a new one. Another ADD.
Right.
Okay.
This is EDD.
Right? Oh, that's right. EDD. Yes,
EDD.
similar though. Yeah.
Just to go back, this
Yeah.
is very interesting what you're bringing up, Suzanne. I just want to go back to this
Absolutely.
idea of having done something, because I think a lot of people fit into this category, having done something quite naturally
Yes.
in one's life out of passion,
Yes.
but not having a name for it necessarily, or living it as a vocation in the world.
Yes.
I was just really thinking about people who sing in the shower.
Yes. Oh, that's funny you mentioned that.
And they sing, or they go down the street and they sing.
Exactly.
And then at a certain point they realize, I love this. I don't know. I adore this.
Yes. Why aren't I singing all the time?
Why aren't I singing all the time? And then
Yes.
they go and become a singer. So
you know what they
if you
do?
ask them the question, how long have you been singing? And they say, well, all my life.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. It's just like
No, I just became a professional, so
Yeah,
to speak,
right.
last year when I couldn't find any work. But, you know, I'm a singer all my life.
Yes.
Anyway, I
And
just wanted
that's
to add that.
No, that's absolutely true. And for me, when I say I found my calling, it is wonderful to be able to get paid, sitting home, talking on the phone, doing what comes naturally, and
Exactly.
feeling like it's a high service
Sure.
to the people that I'm supporting, because I'm helping them, really see their souls
Sure.
and live from that
Clarify,
place.
etc.
And when I was a yoga teacher, which is what, after that experience of...
At Sloan Kettering.
Yes, I went into a 6-month period where I was really lost and having nightmares, recurring nightmares about her death, and really it was great in a way, because I really got to
Sure.
discover what
It was
suffering
cause for deep reflection.
I didn't have any choice but to change something.
Yeah.
Here were all these emotions I didn't know had existed, right?
Yeah.
So I went back to yoga. I'd actually already started doing yoga, went back to yoga, and ended up for 20 years or something being both a disciple, a student and a disciple, a teacher, and then ultimately a mentor. And it was a wonderful model, but it was still very much sort of the classroom approach. It's like, can you really get people to be willing to break through fear to that source love, in a yoga class with a group of other people? It happened, because I taught it as a kind of consciousness.
Yes,
It did happen, but it was not easy to get people to really... I think we have to break
To
down.
be in that place.
We have to break down before and let go of everything that's in the way
Yep.
in order for the source that we are, that love that I think is our essential nature, to come forth, right?
You must first break down in order to break through.
Yes, that's it. Yes, sounds like, did you just make that up?
Yeah.
Oh, you're pretty good too.
Hey, what
huh?
can I say?
Yeah.
I'm listening.
Yes, you are. Exactly. So the yoga was really great, but the next thing was I saw that I just so wanted to be able to help people with their fear, because I've been a person that's had a lot of fear all my life. And it's just, I'm a natural...
Welcome to the human race.
Yeah. If you know Ayurveda, and I know you do, because I think Deepak Chopra's been on this show, right?
No.
Oh, I
no,
thought he
no,
had been. I
No,
don't know.
we were
Okay.
talking about it, but
Okay,
we had
well,
not.
you probably know about Ayurvedic medicine
Oh,
anyway.
sure, long before Deepak Chopra.
Yes, okay, exactly.
Not before he did, but
Yes.
before I knew of him.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
you knew about it. So the Vata type is the type that I am, airy, quick, whatever, right? And that's great, but we're prone to fear. That's one of the things that we have to deal with, right? So I've been,
Fear blows through you,
yes, oh,
so to speak.
yes, it does.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's been very important for me to feel that I can help both myself and other people with this fear thing. So the next thing was Ilana Rubenfeld's work, which you didn't mention, but I got certified and trained in that because it was a way of working one-on-one with people.
Rubenfeld Synergy Method.
Rubenfeld
Is that-
Synergy Method. It's a body, mind, spirit
Ilana Rubenfeld.
therapy,
Yeah.
which is a brilliant
I've met
work.
her.
Yes, you
Wonderful
have.
woman.
Yes, very interesting teacher, and she was one of my teachers. And again, I had a practice for a while, but it wasn't my work, it was her work. And it was hands-on. It required some manipulation. And I
Sure.
figured, hey, if I can touch people without touching them, better yet, sit at home and chat and talk to them on the phone and accomplish the same thing.
So how is it that you get through to the core, Suzanne?
That's a really good question. And especially you might ask over the phone, which some people wonder, right? Okay, so let me address that first, because the phone actually, I think, relates here. It's a very intimate medium, kind of like radio, or as somebody was saying to me the other day, kind of like the confessional. And it's not that by any means there's that kind of power imbalance. What I love about coaching is that it's really a peer relationship. You could be my coach next week, and I could be your coach,
Yes.
and we can be friends. It's
Sure.
not like therapy where we have to...
One up, one down, as Alan
Yeah.
Watts says about
Right.
therapy.
Right. Many people, I think, see the model that
By all
way.
means.
And it's certainly designed to keep a distance.
Oh, yes.
And this is not. This is very much a matter of being present with a person. So we're on the phone, okay? And what I'm looking for...
Is it ever in person, however, or
It
not?
can be, but most of my clients are all over the country, and that's wonderful. And if I go up to Nova Scotia like I'm about to do, I can take them with me, right? So they are, it's possible to do it in
After
person.
fashion.
I
Right.
just had a couple of new clients who said, I hate the phone, I want to have the first meeting with you in person. But they've all adapted because there's a certain anonymity, I want to say, a certain privacy that the phone allows, and a tremendous focus, like we're just right, it's just that one sense, hearing, is just, you're attuning
Definitely. It's
right
really
into that other
focused.
person's heart. There's no distraction, right? So you're really paying attention. And you asked me, how do I mirror back to them the essence of who
Well,
they
how
are?
do you cut through to the core?
Okay, well, that's right. So I'm going to tell you. So first of all, I think what's really important is to be able to really, and I say see the person. I've actually never met some of my clients, but I have to get who they are.
Sure.
And I have to see some light resonating and some potential for movement. These have to be people with a longing, a desire to really become more fully who they are, or it's not going to work.
Sure.
So they need to really...
This is what they have to bring to the table.
They have to bring a real commitment to their own personal growth. And it's very light and actually fun often, but it is very focused, and they have to have that intention.
But that is a requirement.
Yeah, absolutely, with working with me,
Sure.
not with all coaches.
Sure.
But I'm looking for people who really want to get excited about their lives and are ready to do something about it.
Sure.
Okay, and it's not always external doing, it's more about the quality of their being. So I listen on the phone, I'm listening for when they're being true to themselves. And as I get to know them, I can hear. It's very interesting. I can hear what they're not saying, what they are saying. So intuition is part of what I have to bring to the table. And very, very sound listening, compassionate listening, I want to say, right? So I'm listening for who they are and
Discerning listening.
Yes, very, very good. I used the word discernment. That's exactly right. And so it's discerning, exactly your word, when they're being true to themselves and when they're not. And so when they're being true to themselves, what I do is I stop them, because what we usually do, we're very good at moving right along. You know, maybe something has just struck a resonant chord and I can almost hear it in their voice, like they're a little emotion or something, and it's like, okay, wait a minute, and that's part of my job, and I get
Sure.
permission to make sure that they're going to let me do
of course,
that, right?
Of course.
But it's basically, will you, just stop a minute and let's go inside. Let's see what's here. If I hear something, and this also is true if there's something in the way, if there's a fear or some pain or something blocking the light, we stop there too and we pay attention. Okay, and so what I do is it's basically taking the yoga and the Rubenfeld synergy work at times and adding that, if you will, into the mix of traditional coaching, which is more values clarification, goals orientation, good stuff. But it doesn't, in my opinion, cut to the heart of both what I have to offer and what I know about what people need, which is basically love, to love and be loved. And as I'm sick of saying, but charity begins at home, right? I mean, we've got to have our hearts open if we're going to, if we're going to feel, fulfilled in our lives. So my new thing really about life coaching is that it's all spirit-based, because we are spirit. And if we don't create the life that's right for us, if we don't know who we are, we're going to create somebody else's idea of a great life.
No question.
It's not going to touch us, right, particularly. And we're not going to enjoy it. I mean, once we do it, we won't really be open to taking it in unless we've cultivated that heart place.
Sure.
So I take people back to their hearts
Now,
all
what's
the
the
time.
difference between, and no doubt you're asked this question a lot.
I don't know. We'll see.
You will.
Ask on.
What is the difference between this and psychotherapy?
Yes, that is a great question. And I have to say, I don't want to pretend to be an expert on this. I've not been a traditional therapist. I was a Rubenfeld synergy, and that does involve therapy, but it's a kind of body-mind therapy, and it's not quite the same as...
But still in all, you have some sense of the domain
I'll tell you.
Psychotherapy.
I have thought about this, and I think it's a very interesting question. We touched on one element already, which is the fact that if I'm your therapist, I see you for the 50-minute hour or whatever it is, and I don't see you anywhere else. So I'm not modeling behavior for you that's going to be your behavior. I'm not being with you in my life, right? I'm being with you in a very specialized kind of setting. Nothing wrong with that. But there's a certain distance, a professional distance.
There are very specific boundaries.
Yes, and in coaching there aren't. I can bring all of who I am to bear, and I can coach people who are my friends, family members, because I would say in a healthy coaching, there's no transference. It's the coach is very much in the business of empowering the client, treat equal, and it's just that the spotlight is on you. So that's one way that therapies and coaching are different. Okay. Do you want to hear more, or do you want?
I do. I mean, that's
we can talk
not
about that too.
so certain as you make it sound.
No, it isn't. That's
It's
right.
actually
And you
not.
would know because you're
Yeah,
a therapist
that's
and
right,
I'm not.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not, and not to mention, you said that virtually all of your work is done over the phone.
Yes.
And there is a beginning time and there is an end time.
Yes, there is. That's absolutely right. It's
So
just
that's
that,
another parallel.
Absolutely, that's a parallel. A difference is that then I might stay on the phone and chat with some of my clients who are coaches. I have a number of clients who are startup coaches.
Okay, so
and I'll talk about my
okay.
life. They want to know what's going on with me. We talk about common coaching issues together. We share
But
resources.
still, then that's collegial. I mean, that's
Yes.
still yet again a different thing. Would you
Yes.
spend time schmoozing, if you will, with a client who is not a coach, who is something in another field altogether, like rocket science, after the session
That's
itself?
a good question. I
Would
could.
you?
I could if it's a friend. For instance, I'm becoming very good friends with a woman at the same time as she's becoming my client. And it's working out fine. We go out to dinner
Sure,
and
okay.
chat and so
I
on.
have a feeling that there are other distinctions.
There are. I'll tell you what they
Okay,
are.
good.
They're more interesting, actually, I think.
Okay.
So we'll move
Sure.
on. So my sense, and you have to help me here because I'm not pretending that I understand
Will do.
therapy. I
Will do.
understand coaching pretty well by
Okay.
now. Okay. So my sense of therapy is that often the attention is spent in the darker places, the places where the people are stuck. The people are, to some extent, stuck often in traditional therapy.
It's a matter of interpretation.
Right.
And
But
traditional, it's become such a
Yeah.
large and somewhat diluted word itself, therapy.
I feel that.
that we can no longer safely say what you're saying. If you bring
Okay,
the
I
medical
agree.
/ pathology model to bear, that's one thing,
Yes.
and you would be right.
Yes.
But in light of such things as Gestalt
Yes.
and onward and forward, there has been such radical shifting.
I feel that too. I have friends who are
Ericksonian
therapists.
hypnotherapy.
Yep.
It's just no longer pathology based in the same way.
Okay, well, that's good because I think...
Nonetheless.
I
So
lost-
from that point of view, it's largely
Yeah.
about empowerment.
Yes, absolutely, it is. And a good therapist and a good coach have much more in common, I would say,
Yes.
than they have that isn't in common.
Right.
I have no that at all.
Sure.
I would agree with you. However, the emphasis in coaching is it's a very proactive approach. It's let's start with what's working. We don't spend a lot of time on what's not working and trying to understand it, which I think therapy helpfully does, goes back in time and looks at past patterns or current patterns and sees where they may have originated in the past. I
Often,
imagine that's
often.
still true sometimes at
Oh,
least.
yeah, definitely.
Okay, we don't do that. A why is a question we almost never ask in coaching. Now, it could sound kind of cavalier to just move on, and I don't, fortunately, because I have the background in Rubenfeld Synergy. People cry a lot on the phone with us, and I cry with them sometimes. But it's really the opportunity is to start with what's working. For instance, if someone would say to me, they're talking about some exciting new thing they want to do, and they would say, well, part of me is just terrified. Now, if I were a therapist, my guess is we'd probably go there. But we could equally well in coaching, and this is my call and theirs, but I'm
Sure.
looking to them, we could go there and feel the fear and move on, but we wouldn't try to understand it, like how it related to their childhood or anything like that.
But what if the client, him or herself, brings you back and says, I'm at the same point in my life where I was ready to make a certain kind of choice to follow my dream, and then I felt this block and I couldn't go further.
Okay.
It's actually reminiscent of something that happened to me 10 years ago when I was
Yes.
about to get married, and I
Yes.
found the woman of my dreams, and yet,
So we
and
would
it
talk
happened to
about
me
it.
again when
Yeah, we would talk about it.
Okay.
But what I want to say is that if they say part of me, if they're completely in fear for a long time, they probably should be in therapy and not coaching, is the
I see.
point. But
so it
if
could
they
be
say
that
part
therapy
of
is
me
a
is
sense
scared,
a prelude.
yes, it
possibly.
actually is, I think, and
Could
can
be.
be, absolutely. So basically, they'll say part of me is in fear, but then I'll say, well, but I'm hearing, if I am only, I have to be authentic, I'm hearing there's a part of you that's really excited about doing this new thing. How would it feel to talk about that
Sure.
instead?
So you cultivate that.
We cultivate the light
Definitely.
with the idea that by cultivating the light, the darkness dissipates.
That's great.
Okay, so it's a slightly different take than going and trying to clear out the darkness,
No, I
which
understand.
gives it attention.
I
I think you understood what I was getting.
A
But
while
it's a
ago.
spiritual. Yeah, okay, good.
Right.
It's a spiritual
I
approach.
appreciate. Yes, exactly.
It's
now,
seeing the light.
what, Suzanne, would you say is at least to date, your most notable success?
I'm glad you asked. I told her yesterday she was the poster child of coaching for me. A client, because we had a fabulous session, and I asked her permission to just use her as an example without, she wouldn't even care, but I'm not going to give her name or what part of the country she's from. But the success, this is a woman actually who had been very severely abused by her father sexually as a child for many years. And so would seem to have been a candidate for therapy, according to my thinking even before. And I think we've been probably working together for about a year now. She started not about that at all. She'd done some work around that years ago. But she was feeling, I think, a little sad and out of balance in her life, that she didn't love her job and it was taking too much of her time and she wasn't doing the things she loved, like hiking and stuff. So basically, long story short, we ended up moving very quickly into her heart and discovering that, no, there was much more that she was longing for, that her soul's expression was really what had called her to coaching. And lo and behold, she's now become a life coach, and more to the point, I mean, this is a woman who was doing, a fabulous person, who was doing work that was not up to her, capacity at all. I mean, she is a world-class coach already, in my opinion, and I can see it in her. She has such a deep sense of connection with herself now and with others. And she has made her whole life in the last 6 months about preparing the ground to be the person that can coach people to the kind of success that she is realizing in her life. So it's I would have thought, that this was an almost impossible situation.
So
her
your
self-esteem
own
was
success-
like this, and it's like,
Incredible.
she said, she wrote me an email yesterday and said, I'm owning my magnificence now. Thank you. And it was like, yes. I could just
Amazing.
feel, so it very, very sweet opportunities here.
So your own success is measured by when you duplicate yourself.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Little
I
clone
wonder if there's anything
coaches.
to that, right?
Coaches, aren't they cute? Yes,
There's
all
another
cute, just like
me. Right.
God forbid.
Narcissism is at the base of all.
This is it. You're on to me now, honey. You got me figured out.
No, it's too funny. No, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm really.
As God is, the face of God is in us all, so
Yes,
it's perfectly
yes.
fine.
Exactly.
No, it's
But no,
ridiculous.
I'm not in the business of cloning myself. What I
certainly.
want to do is let people really get who they uniquely
themselves.
are. And so the modeling is just, I'm being myself more and more, and really sharing that in whatever ways I'm called to do. And
Exactly.
it's inspiration, right? And love are catching.
Definitely.
It's infectious.
Definitely.
So it's the quality of my being, or yours as a coach or a therapist, that's as important as anything.
Oh, by all means, I agree. Well, you have such a demeanor that's really very open, very friendly, very warm, and
Thank you.
I think that we should add to the list of virtues that we know of classically, of patience, love, etc., integrity, appreciation of other and self. I just thought of that.
Yeah.
Because the fact is, that really is virtuous activity.
Yes, it is.
You know?
Absolutely. If we don't appreciate ourselves, we don't have that deep...
And other.
well, yeah, but the point is that it has to be both, because if we're really
That's
going
why
to...
I said both.
Yes, absolutely. You're right. You got it.
I was just being obvious.
Yeah, no, you weren't being
Yeah.
obvious, but yeah. I was going to
No, it's an actual virtue.
Yes, it is.
It deserves that level on the
Okay,
playing
I'm with
field.
you.
Do you
like,
see?
yes. It's something, it's like compassion, only a little bit...
That's right.
A little bit even, I talk about the 3 C's
More
of coaching.
expressive in a sense.
Right,
It's more-
it is. It's more clear.
It's more articulated.
Yes. But there's consciousness, compassion, and courage, which are, and the compassion, I think, is touching on what you're, just alluding to what you're talking about.
It's sort of like compassion in action, if you will.
Yes,
You know?
absolutely. It's living that, looking at you and seeing your gifts,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And if I'm not seeing mine, I'm not going to be open to seeing yours, because my heart isn't going to be
Yeah. Or you're caught in
available.
something else like envy, jealousy, possessiveness,
That's
or any of the other, the lower C's.
yes, the lower C's,
Or the-
exactly.
The
Yeah.
non-virtuous, as we say
Yes.
in general.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
And you do have that. I mean, when I first met you, I picked up on that.
Thank
you.
you.
On that ability, and it's really a gift. And it's
It is.
Behind that, if you don't mind my saying, is a certain selflessness that
Yes.
you don't feel that you need to be the center of every conversation.
That's right.
So
In
to
fact,
speak.
that's
And-
been a huge evolution for me. That has been my spiritual journey, from being the sun, a Leo, to being the
Yes.
moon, reflecting.
Very interesting.
Yes, it has
that's
been.
a major leap for a Leo.
Let me tell you,
Major.
it's been incredible. It's
I
been
know,
a real.
I have experience of many
Yeah.
a Leo.
Yes.
And,
It has been. It's been an incredible journey of just burning
Beautiful.
call it the karma, or that incredible ego desire to be. And I was an actress, and I was a newspaper columnist.
Me.
Yes. But I was not happy in that way.
Yeah.
Because
I
it was,
understand.
I was too out there. I needed to come back. I spent 20,
Exactly.
25 years out on this farm in Pennsylvania cultivating those inner gifts
Beautiful.
that I was talking about,
Beautiful.
the courage and
Well,
compassion.
it's
and
been working.
consciousness. Oh,
It's really been
thanks.
working.
Thank
Definitely.
you. It's very sweet of you to say
Absolutely
so.
true. Now, we only have a few moments
Yes.
left, and I want to just hit upon something that I think might be important for
Mm-hmm.
the audience to know about as part of the definition of life coaching.
Yes.
Do you spend a lot of time primarily on career, on love life, on
that's a good
spiritual life? What is it that you notice in seeing your clients that you're focusing on?
Okay, it can start with any of those things, and of course, because we're human beings in bodies, we're having relationships. Most of us have to have work of some kind, right? Even if it's volunteer work or whatever.
Sure.
So those issues are definitely present. But what I notice is that because perhaps of who I am and what I'm interested in, that it always gets back to the matters of spirit, because it's the quality of our being as we do these things that matters. So what I try to help people understand is their doing has to come from their being. So it always comes back to spirit.
So here we are, spirit in action.
Absolutely.
If you will, right?
Yes.
Because that's
Yes.
quintessential, it's true. Who we are in every moment. And that's what the teachings are all about, who we are
That's
in every
right.
moment.
Otherwise, life is just out here somewhere, and we're not in it. We're not in
Exactly.
here now. We have to be present with ourselves, and so
We need to be bilocating in and out constantly, simultaneously.
locating. Yeah, that sounds interesting. Yes, we do.
Woo!
Yeah.
See, you inspire also. You inspire.
You're so cute. I should
Well,
mention we
listen.
know each other, or people might think it's odd I touch you.
Yes. Oh no. It's okay. Feel free.
Yes.
It's
Okay.
really been a pleasure to have you on the show.
Oh,
It's been
thanks,
great.
Mitch. It's been my
Yeah.
great pleasure as well.
Good.
Thanks for
Good.
having me.
Absolutely. I think you're doing great work, and
Oh, thanks.
keep it up. You're
It's
helping a lot of
exciting.
people. It's good.
Thanks.
Good. Absolutely. Well, I'm inspired. I don't know what I'm going to do. Go out and write my next novel or something after this.
You go, guy.
Maybe.
You go.
Anyway, thanks so much for joining us. This is Mitchell J. Rabin for A Better World, and I look forward to seeing you all next week.